Alright, let's get the elephant out of the way right now. I'm currently under the weather and still recording this. Why? Because I want to make content for my channel. I watched the 2 episodes. I really liked them. And I needed something to do since I took the day off. So, here you go.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's your boy Will. Welcome back to another spoiler review here on the channel. Like I said at the beginning, I am currently dealing with the cold/flu, low-grade fever. It's not the vid. I checked myself earlier today. Might go get checked again tomorrow. We'll see. But just please note that this review for episodes 3 and 4 of Star Wars Ahsoka are probably going to be very low energy. And if it might not have as many yucks. I would appreciate if you check out this video. Because I want to talk about the latest 2 episodes of Ahsoka. Ahsoka so far is halfway through, and it's turning out to be probably in line with The Mandalorian, like season 1 for me, in terms of entertainment value for a Star Wars property on Disney+. And just to get the other little part out of the way, I fully support the WGA and the SAG-AFTRA in their ongoing strike, dealing with the greedy-ass corporations who run Hollywood who don't feel like they want to pay them a fair and equal wage. This review is mainly just for my own personal enjoyment, and hopefully you enjoy the review as well. I'm not necessarily sponsored by the show. I don't get paid for any of this stuff. Just want to get that out of the way because it don't seem like the strike's ending anytime soon. So you're going to see a lot of other stuff from me on the channel pretty soon. I might actually get to the board game time. There you go. There's a positive. Once I'm not, really not feeling well. This is a spoiler review for episodes 3 and 4 of Star Wars Ahsoka, so if you haven't watched the episodes yet, please go check them out. They're really good. And like I said, we're halfway through the season. I think the season is shaping up to be probably one of the best Star Wars series on Disney+. There's been a few, and I'm really happy with all the performances in the show. Make sure you check out those episodes and then come back and watch my review. If you would, please, I would appreciate it. I'm not feeling well, so I appreciate the love and support. Before I talk about the episode, if you're interested in this sort of irreverent conversation that you see if you like that sort of weirdness from your queer content creators here on YouTube, then subscribe to the channel. I would greatly appreciate it. It would help me out. Let's talk about episodes 3 and 4 of Ahsoka. So episode 3, Time to Fly. I think that's the title of the episode. Ahsoka and Sabine and Hugh Yang take off in the ship.
What did he say?
Take off in the ship to head to planet Cetos, where we see that Morgan Ellsworth, I think I remembered her name, and Balin Skull and his apprentice Shin are already there trying to unlock the map that was taken from Sabine by Shin in order to locate the coordinates to get to the location of Grand Admiral Thrawn. So, nice little flight through space. We get some brief training, redoing with Sabine and Ahsoka. They're trying to mend their relationship. Not really bad blood. It's just, I think, one or both feel like that it just didn't work out between them. Which is like a weird breakup, but it's an apprentice-master role. So, again, kind of weird. Apprentice-master roles on the Jedi side, to be fair, I don't know of any that have had a good ending of the ones canonically we've seen on screen. Most of them all end badly. As they're making their way to Cetos, they do encounter the resistance from Morgan Ellsworth and Shin and Mori? But they're basically trying to stop Ahsoka and Sabine from getting there. We get a really cool dogfight between Ahsoka and Sabine and the other enemy fighters. And they really have to kind of get on the same page. But while they're traveling to Cetos in order to try to intercept with Morgan, we see Harris trying to get help from the New Republic to hopefully prevent another war. And we do see the return of Mon Mothma. She makes a brief cameo in a hologram, trying to play peacemaker between Hera and the rest of the council, because the council is like, well, we don't want to get involved in this, because the council is basically a bunch of people who didn't really fight in the war, except for maybe Mon Mothma. So they don't really understand the threat that Thrawn poses on the New Republic. Been kind of the running through line for like The Mandalorian and for now Ahsoka, is that we've seen, but lackluster performance of the New Republic has really led to pretty much the downfall of the New Republic when we get to The Force Awakens and how the First Order was able to rise without any real resistance. It's an interesting through line that they've done through all of the Star Wars series that take place in the post Return of the Jedi world. And I like that through line that they've done for episode 3, especially with Hera now having to decide, does she go up against the New Republic's orders or go help her friends? And that's ultimately answered in episode 4. So episode 3 doesn't end with them evading capture from the enemy fighters and Shin and Balin, but they're already on the planet. So they're on the same planet and they know they're there, so they kind of send out search parties for them, and that's kind of where the episode ends, with Sabine and Ahsoka trying to formulate a game plan of how to get the map back and keep them from getting to Thrawn. Which leads into episode 4, entitled Fallen Jedi, where we see the results of their infiltration on Cetos and the unfortunate ending that comes from the duel between Ahsoka and Balin, but also the surprise cameo that we get at the end of the episode. Ahsoka and Sabine are prepping to leave, and Ahsoka definitely has some concerns about Sabine's headspace because obviously she's doing this to try to get Ezra back, whereas Ahsoka is willing to make the hard call if they need to destroy the map to prevent Thrawn from returning, but it would also strand Ezra permanently in the unknown region. And that doesn't really sit too well with Sabine, but they end up breaking off from Hu Yang as he's trying to repair the ship, and they stop some of the forces from attacking them and get Hu Yang kind of situated while he's trying to still get in touch with Hera, who has defied the New Republic's orders and is taking her, Chopper, and her son and the Ghost. We get to see the Ghost again for all the Star Wars Rebels fans, making their way with a couple of X-Wing fighters with Carson Tebla. It's the same guy, the X-Wing fighter who's been in like every series at this point. More really good lightsaber duels. We got a really good aerial dogfight with Ahsoka and Sabine going up against Shin and the other enemy fighters. That was really cool, but this episode really had some really great lightsaber choreography, which I was really happy about. And one thing too, before I talk more about the Duel of Fates that we saw toward the end of the episode, is that the comedy that has been in these first 4 episodes of Ahsoka has been subtle but entertaining. It's funny, it's dry humor, which is like one of my personal favorites. It's not goofy for goofy's sake. Like, Hu Yang is an instigator, but also a comedy foil with his interaction with both Ahsoka and Sabine. And even just some of the little jabs here and there between Ahsoka and Sabine are also very entertaining. And Chopper's just funny as hell. So, but they encounter Shin, and I'm still going to call him Mori, the Inquisitor, and they have a lightsaber duel. At least Mori and Ahsoka do, and Ahsoka takes him out fairly easily, not a lot of struggle, while Sabine kind of holds her own against Shin. Through these 2 episodes, we also know that, Sabine can't tap into the Force. She's been training to be a Padawan with Ahsoka for a number of years before their separation and now reuniting, but she could never tap into the Force wholeheartedly. And it goes back to like a clip from Rebels where Kanan Jarrus was talking to Hera about trying to train Sabine and how this Force resides in all living things, but you have to be open to it. And I feel like that's kind of the through line for Sabine's character throughout these 8 episodes. So probably by episode 8, she'll be able to tap into the Force, is my early speculation with us being at the halfway point. But they break off from each other. Ahsoka goes and confronts Balin at the map location, and they have a tit for tat when it comes to Balin trying to instigate Ahsoka by referencing Anakin and what he did and why did she abandon him. All the usual stuff, like playing off of her guilt. They have a really good lightsaber duel, and I like how they've treated lightsaber fights. They're not necessarily highly choreographed, like people aren't flipping off of things like what you saw in the prequels, which again, those were good for the early High Republic days. Those were cool, but I like how it's a little bit more gritty and a little bit more samurai, where there's a lot of thought placed in every movement, every swing of the blade. It's a chess match instead of just somebody playing Yu-Gi-Oh! If you played Yu-Gi-Oh! When it first came out and you play it now, you'll know the difference. I really like their duel, and even the duel with Shin and Sabine, where Sabine's able to kind of hold her own to the point where she's able to kind of get Shin away from her long enough so that she can recover, basically, and try to meet up with Ahsoka. Shin gets there first, trying to interfere in the fight. It does not work. Ahsoka kind of knocks her to the wayside. She does interrupt the map coordinates transmission briefly and is able to remove the orb that has the map, enough for Sabine to grab it. But Ahsoka's like, she's really dangerously at the cliff edge, and she gets distracted when she tells Sabine to destroy the map, and Sabine hesitates to the point where Baylor was able to force Ahsoka off the edge of the cliff. And we don't see Ahsoka's body, we just see her disappear. But Sabine, this is where her feelings for Ezra, her desire to want to save him, is what ultimately leads to Balin and Morgan getting their hands on the orb again, because she willingly gives it up to him to try to get to Ezra. Even though that means bringing Thrawn, one of the most dangerous people left in the Empire, back to lead this burgeoning new empire in the galaxy. She's doing it all to try to get to Ezra, which is probably going to backfire eventually, but she is taken captured and taken on the ship right as Hera and all of the other fighters show up to try to stop them. They're able to warp off, and the map was also destroyed by Balin. He destroyed the orb so nobody can track them. So they have no idea where they are, but kind of plays into what happens to Ahsoka, because we see that she is, it looked like at first they were playing off that she's floating in the ocean, but in actuality she's floating in like a void space. And I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, anybody who really watched Rebels, but this is like the world between worlds. It's like a weird nexus point where we saw in Rebels Ezra access this point and actually used it to save Ahsoka's life when she supposedly died at the hands of Vader. And I think like season 2 or 3 of Rebels, I'm not sure what season it was, but it was supposed that she died in that moment, but technically Ezra pulled her out of time and brought her back to normal time and space. And this was kind of spoiled, unfortunately, but yeah, we get our first cameo of Hayden Christensen as Anakin Skywalker. I'm assuming he's the one who pulled her through to save her life from being killed. I'm assuming this is like a weird Force Ghost version of him, or maybe it's a version of him from a earlier point in history, and he saved her, is my other assumption. The only reason I say that, because if it was a Force Ghost, I'm assuming he would have been the woo, the blue, but he's not the woo. He's just Anakin with the CGI reconfiguration of the face. I'm assuming it's a combination of makeup and CG, but it was fine. It was fine. I'm not going to bitch about it. I'm way too second for it. It was fine. But it could be better. A lot of the graphics in these 2 episodes were fantastic. Like, Hugh Yang's, like, motion, I'm assuming that was part puppet, part CG, but it blended together so well that it was hard to tell which was which when you saw the droid in the space kind of combating with the other enemy forces that were surrounding the ship. And even like all the space battles look really good, and they're choreographed really well. Same with the lightsaber fights. But that's where the episode ends, where we see Ahsoka reuniting with a version of Anakin Skywalker, which I'm assuming is going to put her back into a spot where she can find out where Morgan and the rest of them went to try to save Sabine. What's that third reunion going to look like? Because, I mean, she saw Sabine hesitate, and she can probably put 2 and 2 together, but Sabine will probably come clean and like, yeah, I gave it to him. And even Hugh Yang said, you guys work better together. And so that's an interesting point where you have this episode in the grand scheme of the 8-episode run, because we're halfway through. Really good 2 episodes. Whew, man, that's a lot of talking. Really good 2 episodes. I'm very happy with it. I'm happy with the series overall. I love Rosario Dawson's portrayal of Ahsoka. You can tell, like, her emotions are very much in check, because she's seen what happens when the emotions go a little too far. And that is explained a lot just by her actions, just by her dialogue. The dialogue in the series is really well done as well. It doesn't feel like weird or corny, and it's a nice blending of what you kind of get with the original trilogy vibes with what works about like the sequel trilogy and the updated graphics and character conversations and interactions and how those characters play off of each other. I really like that. It really does suck that Ray Stevenson is no longer with us, because I think his portrayal of Balin Skull is great. And I would have loved to see more of this character. I'm assuming this character won't be around too much past this season. I really feel like this is going to get a second season. If everything plays out right, when we'll get that second season, it depends on when the studios want to stop being assholes. If we do get a season 2, I would love to see, I think I said in a previous episode, or a previous review, that I would love to see season 2 really focus on Thrawn and bring in the rest of the Ghost crew to kind of make it like the quote-unquote epilogue for Rebels more than what you got with just the animated series. I think that they've done a really good job with these first 4 episodes. I'm very excited to see where the rest of the season goes. But yeah, I haven't been this excited to talk about Star Wars since probably like season 1 of Mandalorian, technically. Obi-Wan Kenobi was cool. I liked a lot of elements from it, and so was Andor. But I really, like, this has a really good blending, and I like it, and I'm very happy with it. So, that's going to do it for this review of episodes 3 and 4 of Ahsoka. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Thank you so much for checking out this video. I really do appreciate it. Again, if you're new here, I'm usually a little bit more energetic. I did take a nighttime formula, so I'm kind of slightly fighting that. I'm also working off of like an hour of sleep. You don't need to hear all my problems, but if you would, subscribe, because I talk about my problems on other videos as well, if you would. You can definitely check out some of the other series reviews I've done for other Star Wars properties on this channel, even for like the Marvel Disney Plus stuff as well. I just posted a trailer reaction for the Five Nights at Freddy's movie that's coming out in October, because October is when I typically try to do more horror and suspense-based movies, so look forward to some of those things coming out. I've got some plans in the works, so subscribe to stay notified. You can follow me on a lot of different social media platforms listed at the end of this video. Like, share, subscribe, all that fun stuff, and as always, until next time, may the Force be with you, and I will catch you later. Hey, thanks for watching this video. If you did like this video, why not give me a thumbs up and share it with your friends? You can subscribe to the channel by clicking on my gorgeous little face right over there. You can follow me on all the various social media platforms right below. And last but certainly not least, if you've got a few extra minutes, why not check out one of the lovely videos floating right over here. Later.